So, Jennifer, ma'am, thank you so much for coming and addressing this podcast today. And I'm doing this for that so that more and more females in our country gets motivated.
Yes,
And this is such a beautiful industry.
yes,
And more and more females are required to take charge of the distribution industry now, because in the
true.
next decade and so on and further also, we will see
Hmm.
more female investors coming and taking charge of the businesses as well as of the investments as well, which is where we
True,
feel
true.
more distributors are also required. And who
Yes,
better than you can do justice to this talk today, because I was looking up briefly about you, and I will just read out some of the things which I have found online about you. That you also entered this industry by accident. You were a banker earlier, but what beautifully you have done is, while you were into postal RD,
yes,
you built your first set of clients by moving door to door, and
yes,
you convinced Goans to move away from all these so-called guaranteed products and move
right.
into wealth creation using the equity markets through mutual fund.
Yes,
And we are very so proud of you, ma'am, that you have built the largest SIP client bases in Goa. Your client numbers are in approximately will cross 8,000 soon now. And
true.
another beautiful thing which all mutual fund distributors must learn is that yours is a family run business. It is so
Yes,
important to build a
yes,
legacy, to have your
yes,
succession also trained and groomed and involved in the business. Two more things about you is, you practice what you preach. So that's the kind of SIP book you have personally also created, and you
yes,
you show this to your clients so that they also get convinced that
yes,
this family is someone who is preaching what they
yes.
practice also. And you are also fondly known as Goa's financial doctor. So it is great privilege to speak to you today, and I wish we can motivate more and more females to join this beautiful industry. So, ma'am, I'll just start with my first question.
Yes.
You are a legend in Goa,
Oh
right?
my
So
God.
the first name which comes when we look at Goa is your name. And
Okay.
as I said, you have 8,000 and approximately 8,000 households, 8,000 clients whom you are catering to, building their wealth. So, for those who are listening to you today, few lines which you would like to talk about yourself, how Jennifer is different, or how Jennifer would be
Hmm.
known as.
First of all, thank you, Madhuji, for having me on this podcast. I'm an MFD based out of Mapsa, Goa, and have been selling financial products or marketing financial products for the last 40 years, from
Mhm.
1986, and specifically mutual funds since June 1999.
Very nice. So,
Introduction?
so many years.
Yes,
Interesting. So, but
yes.
since we are having this conversation around Women's Day, what it means personally to you as a female entrepreneur, as a female money manager? Does it has different connotation or different interest or different things you feel?
Every day is a Women's Day, but specifically the focus on women happens on 8th of March every year. And
So right.
I feel very, very proud to be a woman and to be able to empower other women to reach their financial goals. International Women's Day is only another day focusing specifically on women. Throughout the year, 365 days of the year, my focus is on women.
Very nice, ma'am. Rightly said, 365 days are for women. It's just one day which, we take it and enjoy. Ma'am, since you, as I mentioned earlier, you started your life first with traditional products like, postal RD,
Yes.
and then you moved to mutual funds. Those days, nowadays it's a very different industry altogether, different way of doing
True.
business. But those days, how money worked and how your work featured in it?
I mean, if you ask me, in 1986, it was a very, very traditional Goa. Goans were also very traditional. There was no check system. They were all giving you cash at that time. They didn't know what checks were. And having been born and brought up in Mumbai, I came here to a place. Now, little bit of myself in terms of lineage, if you want to call it. My paternal grandfather left Goa, Taligaon, Goa, and settled in Calcutta. My husband's paternal grandfather left Goa and settled in Mumbai. There's a reason why I'm saying this. Mumbai Goans come to Goa every year for holidays in the month of May. But Calcutta Goans hardly come. In those 33 years, in 1986, I was 33 years old. In those 33 years, I had come to Goa only once. That means I'd come to visit this place only once. So when I came to Goa in 1986, it was like I was a Goan non-Goan. Looking at this beautiful place, the people also were very very charming, very very simple, very very trusting. So it was wonderful to see that. For me, I was not a Goan, I was a Goan non-Goan. Let me put it that
Hmm.
way.
And that moment, did you first think when you came to mutual fund from the RD industry, did you find your calling then that this is the industry where, I can channelize the savings of our people and help them invest in products which make sense for their wealth creation?
So it was that, in 1986, of course, my eldest son, Schubert, was 5, and my daughter, Sonatina, was 3. But then when we moved here, initially I had given up my bank job in Mumbai and I'd moved to Goa here. My husband had given up his music practice in Mumbai and moved here. We both moved here. Till the children started going to school, I was a total housewife. Then, when they started going to school in Goa, I thought, why not use my time? Why not use my experience in the bank? Yeah, let me start. So what was available then? It was postal recurring deposit called Mahila Parishad Bachat Yojana, given only to women agents. It was a 5-year recurring deposit scheme where I went to a particular person every month, took that sum of money, whatever it was, 20 rupees, 50 rupees, 100 rupees, whatever it was. So I was meeting this person regularly every month, and so they started asking me like, are you doing Unit Trust of India? Are you doing NSC, KVP? Are you doing PPF? And that's how I started taking up these agencies one by one.
And you mutual fund is the product closest to your heart?
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. All my what shall I say, investments, not savings.
Yeah.
Investments
Okay.
and mutual funds. Because when I happened to move my postal RD clients to SIPs, that was the most difficult part. Because at that time, government schemes were giving you 12% assured, Government of India schemes
Mm.
like PPF, then your KVP, NSC, they were giving you 12%. Postal monthly income scheme 12%. Unit Trust of India, they had their monthly income scheme 12%. Why would risk averse goers come to mutual funds where I couldn't assure them any returns? So
Mm.
I had to convince them by first of all, once I understood what mutual funds were, these risk adjusted returns are what people need to build their wealth. And to be honest, that my house here in the heart of Mapsal city, my bungalow, has been built only with the investments we made in mutual funds.
So
So I call
nice,
it a
so nice.
mutual fund house.
Wow, so nice. I went to one distributor who has again named this house as, this AMC and this house. So good to see.
Okay.
But ma'am, today also, even after so many years, you have
Yes.
spent so many years in this industry. Today also, in B30 especially, the
Hmm.
distributors face a lot of problems, fighting against these guaranteed products. So if we can just learn from you how to pitch against those guaranteed products. When you, as you rightly said, 12% people were getting guaranteed, right? How why will
Yes.
someone come to mutual fund? So under that situation, how would you convince a client?
Yes. So what I did was I had started doing SIPs myself. I started putting my money in mutual funds and showing my statement to investors for them to understand that what kind of returns I was getting. Because in June
Mm.
1999, the run up to Y2K, the run up to 2000, money you're making about a 20% gain every month because I took up the agency. The first agency I took up with was with SBI Mutual Fund. That was really, that really beat assured return products hands down, showing that
Mm.
what the returns were. And then SIPs, of course, showing my own SIP statement, and it helped people to get confidence in the product that was just starting. There was no history at that time. It was in
Absolutely.
1986. What was mutual funds? We had nothing to show. Today we can show the performance. We can show us. There is history today. I mean, kind of mutual funds are today about 25-year-old youth. The mutual fund industry, I would say, is about 25-year-old youth.
Yeah.
So the pedigree now can be seen, which could not be seen at that time.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we have come a long way, being 81 lakh crore now.
Yes.
And yes, as you rightly said, we need to practice what we preach. That's how
Mhm.
you were able to gain confidence of your clients, how this
Yes.
industry has made returns. So, ma'am, there's another perspective, most distributors are currently treated as, agents, right? So
Ah,
earlier we were IFAs, we were called as independent financial
initially,
advisors
yes.
initially.
Yes.
Then now we are called distributors, and we have around us all the talks of being, that distributors are just for commissions. While I'm a firm believer that in mutual fund industry, mis-selling doesn't happen because the schemes are
Yes,
so well regulated, and
yes, yes.
categorization, everything is so very clear. Transparency
Absolutely
is
correct.
so high in our
The
industry.
most regulated industry is the mutual fund industry.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, have you transitioned from an distributor to a trusted family advisor to, so many families you cater to today?
So initially, as you rightly said, people looked at me as an agent initially because here was a product they never knew, and then I would go house to house, office to office to talk about the funds. But then I think slowly people started could see the sincerity in me. There's one thing I can say with a lot of conviction that once whoever came to me never left me. I mean, they became my friends. My investors are my some of them are my thick friends now. But I have to give a lot of credit here to my husband, my late
Mm-hmm.
husband. We got married in 1980, and then I was in the bank at that time. He was teaching Western music, mainly the piano, but he saw the sincerity in me in the sense that I used to work hard, other people's work would be dumped on me. He saw that talent which I did not see. So I would put it like this that it took a music professor to unearth talent in a shy, reticent banker to catapult her to where she is today. And mind you, it was a talent that I myself did not know that I possessed. So giving up Mumbai in 1986 for a better quality of life was a risk that paid off.
Very nice. He would be so happy to hear this today. So, coming to my next question, ma'am, we always talk about importance of SIPs, importance of discipline, and
Yes.
you yourself have built a great SIP practice.
Yes.
So, how would you, advise people to basically convince them how why SIPs is important? Number one, from investor
Hmm.
perspective.
Hmm.
Secondly, I also see that if SIP is a good part of your business, it
Hmm.
builds your income resilience level goes down for a MFD business also. So if you can
Right.
answer these two questions from investor perspective and from an MF distributor perspective also.
Yes. So I tell my investors when it comes to SIPs, explaining the basic concept that it is similar to an RD in the bank, but with a difference. In an RD, if you put money for 3 years, you'll get about 6%. 5 years, you'll also get 6%. But if you tell your banker that you want to do an RD for 10 years, he will say you're getting 4 or 5%. So you see, so you wonder why when you're keeping it for a longer period, why should you get less? An SIP is like a marathon runner. A marathon runner initially will just walk, then he will amble, then he will pick up speed, and then the last push. And what a huge empire you build with little drops of water that make a mighty ocean.
Mm,
So I say, see, when the market is down, you're getting more units for your money. And when the market is up, you're getting more value for your money. So either which way, whether the market is down or whether the market is up, you are a winner in an SIP.
very nice.
What was your second question?
Second question
Sorry.
was for the distribution business. How SIP is important. So I see a lot of mutual fund distributors only focusing on lump sum.
Okay.
Now, how SIP is important in our businesses?
So SIP helps you to get regular flow every month
Right.
without any effort, and that is very important to enhance your AUM and of course your income. So if you
Very
can
nice.
make your SIP stick, it is excellent. Now I'll just give you an example. So we were one of the first MFDs in India to propagate SIP top up way back, many years back. So we had this client of ours who started in 2011, started with 1,000 rupees a month SIP with a 2,000 top up half yearly.
Mm-hmm.
Today, that gentleman is saving input is 45,000 a month, and he has built more than a crore just by way of
Discipline.
starting with 1,000. Today, he is 45,000 per month. He's put a cap at 45. So,
Hmm.
but just see how he has stuck and see the humongous returns he has made.
Absolutely. 1,000 and now having more than a crore as his corpus.
No, but 45 today SIP
Today
contribution is
is, yes.
45,000 a month.
No, no, very,
That
very
way,
nice.
that way, I think SIP top-ups are very, very important besides starting having a good SIP book. For every SIP, have a top-up because if your income is increasing, why not your investments increase?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this is a very great point that apart from SIPs, we must also focus on SIP top-ups
True.
from the clients. So, ma'am, today, like people know you as we were talking, the financial doctor of Goa. We also view you as a social transformer in the way you have shaped the investment industry in Goa and shaped the family's wealth in Goa. So, according to you, what are some of the personal values which
Yes.
which has helped you build this trust over decades, which our MFD community can learn from you?
So, first of all, from my family, these values have come to me: hard work, integrity, sincerity, honesty, and working with a purpose. I come from a family of 8 children. I'm the eldest. I could see my mother and father both. My mother was also, she was a clerk at the post office, GPO, General Post Office in Mumbai. My father has a small scale business, but they worked hard to bring us up. What they gave us was basic education. Basic education means I graduated in economics way back in 1970, and then having gone to a school which was run by Jesuits. The Jesuits again gave you a fantastic. They gave you fantastic values. You know, even when I took my telephone, at that time landlines were difficult to get. Landline connection.
Mhm.
I never bribed anybody to get that connection. I couldn't. That is the values that I was brought up with. So it's just honesty, integrity, being true to your calling, putting the client's interest first.
And lot of hard work.
Initially, a lot of hard work, yes. But
Very
now,
nice.
now it is
Yes. Now it
easy.
is more of word of mouth, People have seen you,
Yeah,
how you
word
have
of
created
mouth.
wealth.
Sometimes I have to say I have no time. I have to focus on my existing clients.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And so, in this only, is there any client journey which is very close to your heart? Maybe a family which has started. You mentioned as a SIP, example of how a
Yeah.
person from
Yes.
1,000 to 45,000 and then corpus
Yes.
of 1 crore. But
Yes.
any other story where you could help in children's education or house or anything else?
Yes, people at the bottom of the pyramid are always very close to my heart, and especially women. When they are maids, I try to see how I could help them. Unfortunately, they have been duped by unscrupulous elements, and then they find it difficult to trust. But maybe being a lady, I had this case of a maid who told me that she wanted to repair her house after 10 years, so she needed a
Mhm.
sum of money. So she started her SIP, and today I'm so proud to say that the type of house she has built is like a mini, what shall I say, unbelievable. So this particular story
Absolutely.
of, where mutual funds transform you totally. Without the MLD handholding the client, it doesn't happen.
Like markets have been last 18 months.
Yeah.
Markets have not given kind of returns we all were expecting,
Sideways.
considering,
Yeah.
yeah, considering our experience of before 2024. So, what kind of a message can give to the MFD community, from your learnings or how to make the AUM stick to you? Because nowadays
Yeah.
we see a lot of AUM shifting also happening. The clients really
True.
questioning the value addition done by the distributor. What are the few learnings
Hmm.
which we all can imbibe in our business?
I think the most important thing is to be in touch with your client, especially in times of stress when the client is feeling very shaky and uncertain about the product. Because after all, people are very bank FD oriented. Let us put them. I mean, Indians are generally risk averse, and
Yes.
being risk averse, at a little drop of the market, like how it's happening, say yesterday, today, they do panic. But I tell them like this, that I give them the COVID example. During COVID, what happened? February 2020, did we know that we are going to have such a magnitude of a calamity hitting us for so long? 23rd March 2020, Government of India announced a national lockdown. The Sensex fell. If you had put 10 lakhs in February 2020, your value was 6 lakhs in March 2020. So many
Yeah.
people rang me up and said, Madam, what is this? Shall we withdraw? What is going to happen tomorrow? I said, what is your goal? What is your goal? Oh, my goal is retirement. And when is your retirement? I've got another 10 years. I said, just hold on. And if you have money, please put it now. So they said, no, we don't know what will happen tomorrow. We will hold on. Since you're telling us to hold on, we'll hold on. So what happened? April, whatever the Sensex was in March and April 2020, you doubled your money in 1 year if you had put money in. And many investors listened and put money in. They said, when onions are cheap, you will buy 10 kilos, right? And keep in the house. But if it's 30 rupees a kilo, you'll buy 10 kilos and keep in the house. But once it becomes 100 rupees a kilo, you're not going to buy so much. So the same logic should hold to with respect to the market.
No,
Then many of
absolutely.
them felt extremely upset that they did not take advantage. Then I said, are you doing a SIP? They said, yes. In 1 year, see how you have doubled your money. So then they feel at least we participated in the rally.
One thing is be available for your clients, speak to your clients. That's where their behavioral
Yes,
issues can be addressed. But that command you can only do once you are a trusted advisor for your clients. So I think one must first get that command, established by being that trusted
yes,
advisor,
yes,
and
yes.
then ensuring that you are there when your client is in panic mode during these
Yes,
downturns.
yes, yes. So
Very,
you
very
must
nice, ma'am.
handhold the client. You must handhold the client. You must be there actually more in times of stress than otherwise.
So, ma'am, just one, I'm not sure how I'm going to ask you this, but you did mention that, how your husband realized the potential in you, and this has
Hmm.
helped shape your career as well. Lucy, I'm sorry to ask you this.
No, no, no.
Uh,
You go ahead. Go ahead.
so,
Don't worry about that.
so when you lose your life partner,
Yes,
and someone who is also part of your business so
yes.
closely, it must have been both emotionally and professionally a difficult phase.
Devastating. It was
And
devastating.
I can understand. And so during that time, did it become a burden or did it become a source of strength and purpose for you?
If anything held me after my husband passed away, it was this mutual fund distribution business. It gave me purpose, it gave me meaning, it gave me something to look forward to. And it's now just a year, 28th of Feb. He completed 1 year of death anniversary. It's just a year that he's passed away, but I have not obviously 45 years we were married. That cannot, that pain of losing him will always be there. But I hope it will diminish. Every part of our office has his stamp because he used to look after the creatives. I used the left side of my brain and he used the right side of his brain. I was doing all the maths and the jargon associated with mutual funds, and he was doing all the creatives. Through the help of creatives, advertisement, he catapulted me into that level. And in fact, he sacrificed his own profession to see that his wife was known all over Goa. And of course, when anyone came to me, they would never leave me after that.
I can see the spark in you when you're talking, the kind of passion you display in your work. And what I we did speak to your son, and it is so heartening. And that's what we also advise a lot of MFDs, that you should encourage your better halves if your better half is not part of your business. Once you are, have crossed a particular age, you should also have a succession planning with you. Such a beautiful
Absolutely.
business. We are
Yes.
so lucky to have
Yes,
trained
yes.
income here.
Absolutely.
Yours is an educated family. So how did you groom your son to take charge of this family business and take it now? I think you guys are taking it international also. So how did you convince him to join this business?
Soon after his graduation, he did his BCom. I brought him into the business because, and people loved his nature, that nature, very friendly nature that he has.
Mm,
And that has helped a lot in the business, really. Of
yeah.
course, I had to train him. He would sit by my side. He would listen to what I'm saying. Then I would give him small errands, go and give this receipt to so and so. That time, everything was statement of account, hard copies, that way. So slowly, slowly, he got into this and has taken it to the next level. He started the Margao and the Vasco branches all by himself.
And do you feel new second generation are more pro and use technology much more?
Yes, yes, of course. And that's required.
So in your businesses, ma'am, in which area you use technology? In client reviews and customization, do you use technology?
We use technology for client reviews, of course. Without technology, we wouldn't be able to manage such a huge base of clients.
And ma'am, we just when we I got into this business. I was
Mm.
very alarmed with the skewed ratio of why so many females are still not part of the female labor force participation ratio, and that's the time when I understood this distribution industry, and I am a firm believer that this is the industry for females to be in, considering
True.
in most part of our
Absolutely.
country most of the females, they cannot afford a nanny, or they have a
Mm.
lot of they have to
Mm.
juggle so many responsibilities, and this
Yes.
is one such industry which gives you so much of flexibility. You
Yes.
can do at the same time the kind of impact you all make in your clients lives. and
Mm.
earn income, trail income as well. I would urge you to give some points for these
Yes,
females, why they should
yes,
come to this business from your own experience
yes.
and why should
So
they make a career out of it.
having given up my bank job because of my children, by then I had two children. Then I got my third child. I found that I could manage my home and my work very well. If I was a banker, it would have been very difficult. Not only that, I would be at that time, way back in 1986, I had a scooty. So my little son, I would strap him around me on the scooty and move. And when he grew bigger, he would sit behind me. Till he went to school, of course, he was with me, moving with me wherever I went. So this kind of flexibility, this kind of you're well compensated for it. I mean, of course, that time we had upfront commission, so it was
Yeah,
it was easier maybe compared to now. Trail is a little difficult. I mean, it takes the gestation to build your practice is much longer now.
absolutely. Yeah. So definitely it takes 6 to 10, 12 months for you to, start getting some trail income for you. But
Yeah.
I think once you start focusing
First, it's
on,
a trickle, and then the tap is you can open the tap wide.
yes, yes, yes. No, but beautiful, beautiful industry. And, from your own example, what are the three qualities, you believe female, I'm talking of female mutual fund
Yes.
distributors, can cultivate to basically convert business, to gain the trust of our
Yes.
investors?
So what I have noticed is that people trust women MFDs more than they would trust men. This is my experience. I found no resistance amongst people because I was a woman. In fact, I found that was an added advantage. I think this sincerity that, I mean, I don't know. Now you have, I don't know what, my generation was different. Today I'm 72 years old. You must be the next generation, aren't you? And then the generation after you. Though, I mean, I don't know what could be the value system as the value system changes from generation to generation. If you ask me about my generation, it would be that women are more. I found in Goa especially that women were trusted. They trusted me wholeheartedly. Sometimes so much that I would feel overwhelmed. It was not that the commission, but the very fact that they trusted me so much. Like, for example, I'll give you an example. One afternoon, I'd gone to a client. Person wanted to invest 5,000 in Unit Trust of India. At that time, there was no check system in Goa. It was only all cash. So this person took out 5,000 cash and gave me. And so I pulled out my receipt book to write a receipt. He said, "No, no, please, please, I don't want a receipt. I trust you fully." I said, "Okay, very good. I'll not give you a receipt. And if I leave your place and meet with an accident, what proof you have that you have given me this 5,000? Okay, okay, okay. If you feel that I should be given a receipt, it's okay. But actually, I don't need one." So much trust was
Trust.
just overwhelming, overwhelming. So that to gain that confidence, I think, is very important. I think. Now, I don't know how it translates today, but I'm talking of my time.
Yeah. No, I think today also in our generation,
Yeah.
in my office also, we see more success ratios when we have females around because
Okay.
in that short time also they do so justice to their role because they know
Yeah.
they have to do so many things.
Multitasking.
Multitasking
Women
comes,
multitask beautifully.
yes, it comes naturally to us.
Naturally, very naturally. I think that is another, I mean, that's why women should come into this business. Women MFD should be, this is ideally suited for women. This particular business ideally suited for women. But maybe it's not so well known or people don't know. I don't know how it is now. Whether the younger generation, what are they called? Millennials?
Millennials and yeah, millennials.
Millennials. Millennials. I suppose now, as I said, this particular industry is about 25 years old. So, but now people are realizing, yes, there is something in this. It's a new profession, actually. Everyone knows architects, doctors, lawyers, those professions people know. But what mutual fund distributor, people question mark. What is mutual fund distributor?
Yes, yes, yes. And sometimes for the new generation, the word distributor, doesn't
Doesn't
sync
sound
well with
good.
them. Yeah,
Yes,
doesn't
yes.
sound well to
Yes.
them.
In fact, when they changed it from IFA to MFD, I also felt it. These are only jargons. Finally, it's you. It's your personality that makes the difference.
Right.
MFD, IFA, all jargons. So basically, how you relate to your client, what do you tell them, how you make yourself felt in their lives. That is what is important. That do they see you as their life coach kind of life
Yes.
coach. They trust, they tell you all their family secrets. It can be very, very overwhelming.
Yes, and I'm yes, I definitely believe it. No other industry gives you
Mm.
this kind of impact, you can make in a mark in your business.
Right.
Yeah, making clients wealthy. What best, what best thing you can do
Yeah,
other than that?
taking money away from being spent to putting it into productive use. I mean, you're doing a fantastic job. You are transforming the whole. You're creating a new ethos.
Course, and ma'am, this is also helping towards economic growth also.
Of course.
Most of the investors in India are first gen entrepreneurs, first gen
Yes.
investors. We need
Yes.
more second and third gen, and that can only
Yes.
happen if the discipline, investment discipline,
Yes.
is done, and it can only happen through distributors. Whatever
True.
direct platform come, whatever direct schemes may come, but that hand holding, that behavioral biases,
No,
you know.
let me add something here if you don't mind. I
Yes,
think
yes,
I think this all these direct plans and all that. Oh, but whatever these platforms are, they are always looking at the rear view mirror. We MFDs look at the forward mirror, which is more important than the rear view mirror.
yes,
And that is why you have uh, people entering schemes and then immediately exiting in the direct plans in these particular platforms because they entered in only because of the rear view mirror. But
absolutely.
which particular scheme will do well in future is what an MFD can bring to the table, and that type of human touch and that face to face conversation that you have with the client, and nothing can beat that.
Absolutely. That's why we saw the SIP data also that 90% of SIPs, which mostly come from these platforms,
Yeah.
that they get broken, they get redeemed in less than
Mm-hmm.
5 years, and 75% of them gets redeemed in 3 years. So data is very alarming. As you rightly said, money comes also faster, money gets redeemed also very faster. But when we speak to leads and distributors like you, that's where we find that the statistics what we hear in the direct platforms vis-a-vis the stats which actually we see with your businesses are quite different. And that's why I think most of the new distributors and others should focus on these kind of practices where the clients will be sticky to you. And ma'am, you have seen multiple life cycles. You spoke about Y2K and
True.
whatnot. I think we
True.
have seen more than five, six market cycles. And
Yes.
so, what kind of message you would like to give to investors, one, and
Hmm.
your distribution community as well?
Yes.
So, the role of patience, probably, or compounding,
Mm-hmm.
or
Yeah.
staying put.
So I would tell the investor that again, the very basic thing, power of compounding is the eighth wonder of the world. What else? What else can you see in a product like this? It's just the power of compounding. That's it. It catapults you from here to there. That level completely changes. Your life changes. Everything changes. So believe in the power of compounding. Stay the course, and you will reach your goal. That is what I would tell any investor. And for the MFT community, I would say the same thing. You initially, now it's difficult. As I said, in my time, we had upfront, and now it initially it's such a trickle that you might find that obviously you have to do other products as well. You can't just stick to mutual fund distribution. But believing in this product, this in this industry is again your power of compounding only. That's all. Today, what am I experiencing in my business? Power of compounding. Just staying the course, believing and seeing other people making wealth, you are also making. You are also
Yeah.
benefiting. Win-win for everybody. Win-win for the client, win-win for the AMC, and win-win for the distributor.
Absolutely. You have done it door to door. Abhi to, it's so easy. You have all the digital media and social media and, sales funnel and all. You can
Mm.
do a lot of
That
things
time
to
those
build.
distractions were not there.
Not there. Yes. Yes. So, ma'am, you would also see a lot of clients,
Yeah.
passing on the wealth to the next generation. And for this new next generation like Gen Z and millennials, you
Mm.
see resistance from them, in Goa or particularly in any other city, if you have experience from your own circles.
Well, when it comes to Goa, I mean, I think this generation, that millennial gen, they've seen the earlier generation. making money through mutual funds. I mean, this is like a passive income. You have to do nothing to get this passive income. I mean, just imagine. I won't take the name of the scheme, but this scheme that started in 2002. If you put 1 crore there to get a SWP of 75,000 a month, cut down to December 2025, although that 75,000 a month SWP, you pulled out 2 crores 4 lakhs from 1 crore, and that 1 crore has become 50 crores. I mean, what? Look at the humongous growth. Even people who slog the whole lifestyle, whole lifetime will never make so much money.
So these kind of case studies is what we should have handy to convince
Yes,
this generation.
yes, 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 yes. Once you show that, they are simply zapped. That is the word for them. They can't believe it.
And next two, three questions are from mostly from what I have seen across the distribution community. So one
Hmm.
is we get very overwhelmed with penny relationships. So
With
for example, penny relationships,
we
for
get
example,
overwhelmed.
with penny relationships. So for penny relationship
Okay.
is basically a client would have a crore of rupees. He would probably
Yes.
give a distributor 10 lakhs and the rest 90 he would use the direct platform to do the same thing. So any mantra you can give us, how to convince that client?
See, do well with that 10 lakhs. Make that 10 lakhs work. Automatically, that 90 will come to you.
And ma'am, then and like I have seen in the United States, there's a lot of
Mm.
value around distributors or RIAs. There, यहाँ पे, RIAs
Yeah,
are
they are eyes. Yeah.
their RIs are there, and
Mm.
the distributor alpha ranges from 3 to more than 4.5% in US. And
Mm.
so what kind of distributor alpha? We can
Mm.
the mutual fund distributor can communicate to their client when the client questions all the time about why this commission, why you're charging this commission when the market for that particular year has not done well.
Mhm.
So have you come across this question, and how do you convince?
Well, I'm really not been affected by this, to be honest, not been affected by this at all. My client base is
Mm-hmm.
very sticky. And the point is that hand holding a client in times of crisis is where the client sees you as a friend and not a distributor earning commission. That you care for that client. You are there in ups and downs, which no platform can replace, no digital whatever can replace. Once a
Yeah,
client sees you
technology interface.
as his or her friend, then they'll never leave you because they know you are sincere and that you will guide them through everything. It doesn't matter. You may be earning nothing. I mean, you may be earning 5 paise or 10 paise in a overnight fund or whatever it may be. When the client sees you, when you matter, what shall I say, graduate from being a MFD to a friend, that makes all the difference.
Very nicely put. Very nicely put. That's where the trust, I would
Mm.
say, cements so well that
Mm.
he doesn't see you as a person who is distributing products, but more of a trusted person who is handholding him for him or her towards wealth creation. Very, very nice. Very nice. So now, briefly about your business, ma'am. How many people you have in your company?
Back office, I have three young women,
Wow, all women.
all women.
Very nice.
And for sales, it's my son and me.
Very nice, very nice. That's what even I have seen in some of the successful MFDs. The backend is handled by females,
Yes.
and they do it so well.
Yes, they do it very well. And that I think the sincerity that a woman brings to the table, I don't think a man can do that. And the
Yeah.
ability to multitask, but more so the sincerity.
So we have had a lot of serious conversations around you. Any lighter, heartwarming moment from your field visit? You are going door to door compared to the new generation who is not going door to door. Any
Hmm.
heartwarming or lighter moment you would like to share, which you had with your clients?
Yeah, so I shared one where the client refused to take a receipt from me.
Yes, yes. Trust. Yes.
Had to convince the client to take the receipt. That is one. And yes, also then, way back 1986, 87, 88, transport and go was a problem. So suppose I was at a new client's place during the afternoon. They would keep me for lunch. I'm meeting this person for the first time and they keep me for lunch. So it was
Oh,
so overwhelming,
so nice. So
You can't
nice.
go now without eating because by the time you get your bus, that time it was the bus, it's going to
Hmm.
be 3 or 4 o'clock, kind of.
Hmm. Hmm.
Transport was very bad at that time.
It's so emotional.
Very, very emotional, very emotional. People were so trusting, so friendly. They were so warm-hearted. That is that's it, the word I'd like to use. They just opened their hearts to me, like kind of. Now it's trust deficit is very, it's
Yeah,
quite
it's very
different.
high. It's
Yeah,
very
very
high.
high.
And
Yeah, yeah.
with so much technology around us, it's so difficult,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
to
yeah.
keep our mind sanity.
Yes.
And so, ma'am, since you are a veteran in this industry,
Mm.
and we females, we younger females, we look up to you. The way you have built up your
Thank you.
practice, the
Thank you.
way you have ensured that the legacy is carried forward,
Mm.
the way you gave so much importance to being a friend, a trusted friend to your clients, being around them during times of crisis, and doing the work, hard work diligently and with a lot of integrity, and
Mm.
putting clients' interest first, and
Mm.
also walking the talk that yes, I do practice what I go out and preach to
Mm.
others.
Mm.
So on this Women's Day, what
Yes.
is that message, strong message you would like to give to all of us?
Yes. The first thing I will say is believe in yourself. Every woman has the ability to be far, far better than a man. In the same, whatever field a woman gets in, she can do far, far better than a man. So don't ever feel you're a second class citizen or you're second rate. Don't ever feel overwhelmed by the fact that, of course, it's still a patriarchal society. It is still a man's world. Not as much as it was in my time. In
Yes.
my time, patriarchy was at its height. And that was something I rebelled against from the very beginning. I said, I'll prove that I can be better than any man doing this business. I never knew I would reach such heights, honestly. I only believed in myself, and I would tell every woman out there, please believe in yourself and take your own decisions. I see
Mm.
so many women depending on their fathers, brothers, uncles. Why? Earning well, but taking these, looking up to the males in the family to take these type of decisions. No, not at all. Please, I think that this should stop.
Mm. Absolutely. This has to stop. You do so
It
much of
has to
hard work.
stop. It has to stop. I mean, what is less? What is it that you don't have that they have? Nothing. In fact, you are a creator. A woman is a creator. A man is not a creator at all. That's an addition. Additional quality that a woman has.
Absolutely. And since generations, I have been seeing my nannies or dadis,
Mm.
managing household finances so well.
Yes, yes,
In
yes. Yeah.
in Rajasthan, the males would be out to work,
Mm.
and would come once a year. The
Mm-hmm.
entire year, the females would manage the house with the little money the husbands would send them.
Yeah.
And now we have started earning. This generation have started earning, but they are not
True.
able to take the decisions. Yes, you have rightly
Yes.
mentioned that
Yes.
the problem. Do you feel somewhere it's a mindset issue?
I think so. It's a mindset issue. So one has to break out of that mold, break out of that mindset. And there's nothing to stop a woman from reaching the heights. There's nothing to stop. Only her mind. It's only the mind. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
the mindset.
Absolutely, ma'am. Absolutely. So nice. Such a pleasure to talk to you. You have been such a motivator, and I think with this, podcast, we'll be able to reach out to so many females out there who has that little, kind of
Spark,
yeah, they have spark, but they have some, issues with
inhibitions,
non
inhibitions.
inhibitions,
Yeah.
lower confidence that can I do it? But when,
Uh,
Jennifer ma'am can do it since such a long period of time
yeah.
and creating wealth for thousands of clients, right?
Mm.
I think
Mm.
we all will get the motivation to, kickstart our business if we have not done it already. And if we have done
Mm.
it, I think we can do it in a much deeper and
Better.
better and
Better.
bigger way. Thank you so much, ma'am, to
So thank
be
you for having me.
with.
It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. Indeed grateful. And happy Women's Day to you in advance.
Same to you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.